What makes a successful actor a good actor?
It's sort of the same thing that makes a good actor is the same thing that to me makes any good crew member, and that's a collaborative drive. For me, and you'll hear me echo this time and time again, it's all about community. And within that context, it's all sort of about the perceived value of participation. When you have a crew, you are navigating the emotions and the priorities and the desires of at minimum, let's say 30 people, at maximum, at least in the productions we run here in Spokane, like Z Nation, we had days where we'd have almost 250 people on the set. And it is your job as anyone sort of in that above the line position of writer, director, producer, technically actor, but I always make some arguments there, to help make sure that everyone's confidence and comfort stays as high as possible. And that their perceived value of participation stays as high as possible. Be that they're being paid their day rate, be that the craft services and the catering are excellent, be that the crew gift is good. There's all sorts of ways to mitigate the difficulty of a chaotic set, because the reality is that there is always the potential for chaos on a set, but also with proper planning and proper time, and allotting the budget in a way that doesn't just reflect putting money in a couple of above the line pockets, but instead spreading that money as equitably as possible across an entire unit so that people feel like their investment is worth it. Those things assuage those fears and increase that comfort in ways that sort of make you bulletproof in the long run. I always say, like, when you're spending money, like, spend it on catering before anything else, and then go from there. Because as long as people are well fed, you can have a conversation with a well fed person. But if they're hungry, it's not going to go well.
Especially being behind the camera, I think some of the best actors have an awareness of everything that happens outside of their process and what they do as an actor. Because it's not unusual, because actors get treated with such kid gloves a lot of the time. Like, an actor arrives on set, they get shuttled to hair and makeup, they get shuttled to costumes, they get shuttled back to the green room or their trailer and wait till they're called to set. And then they get on set, they do the blocking, they shoot, then they get told, they get really shuffled along. And the majority of actors that I've seen, especially, you know what? Not even just in Vancouver, even in Australia, actually. I think a lot of the actors don't have an appreciation or an awareness of what other crew do and the other departments and all the moving pieces and all the processes that it takes to get to that moment with them on set. So I think some of the best actors do understand that and are able to work within that process. And honestly, even just having that appreciation, the fact, like, when you get an actor that sees everything outside of themselves, you're like, oh, you get it. Great.
For me, from sitting in the director's chair, somebody that asks questions about the script. It could be, the infamous, like, what's my character motivation here? It could be, well, you're kind of a cyborg robot, so you're just a killing machine. That's it. It could be as simple as that. But I think the actor knows what they're coming into doing. There's no disillusion. If they don't understand what's going on with their character, like, ask me questions. I may not have all the answers, but there's been a lot of times where the actors have a lot of input on why they think a character should do this or that, or why something should be changed in the script because they don't think their character would do that. It's unbelievable. Because what you're really trying to do when you're shooting something is capture the truth of what somebody in real life would do in that situation. And we all would do maybe different things in certain situations, but, as close to the truth as possible. And I think that's what makes good actors from that perspective. Another perspective is when they are not looking like they're acting. Okay, that's, to me, the best thing, when they're just coming across natural. because I've encountered a lot of actors that just overact. You can tell they're acting, and that's not what you want. Like when that's kind of happened with me, I'm like, can you just like tone it down a little bit? Just tone it down. You know, you don't need to overdo it. You don't need to sell it that much. Just almost like be yourself in a lot of ways, you know?
When you're auditioning, there's something about seeing somebody when they're performing their audition for the first time. And obviously the first thing you're looking for is that people won't overact. That's usually the one that separates out from the possibles from the passes. Most people tend to overact. But as far as when you're down to your last dozen, let's say, out of however many auditions, it's kind of a combination between you look for somebody who has a good sense of getting in touch with their character and delivers it in a way that seems authentic and natural, and they have a good handle on the way they're presenting that, not overacting. But the other half is just the right look and the right feel and the tone. And, certain people just happen to look a certain way that fits the role better.
The majority of it is how you define success. There's people that would define success by fame and glory, by booking famous projects, by being known. A lot of that, it's very, very difficult. And I mean like top 0.1% to succeed at that level, at like a Hollywood level in the Northwest. You almost invariably have to leave the Northwest once you hit a certain ceiling. And so I'm going to define success by just actors that book work regularly. In general, it's just actors that book work regularly. Now, if that's how you define success, how do you get there? And I'm going to say, in my experience, it's not any one specific thing, but it is an overall level of commitment to the industry. It is commitment to making yourself available. It's commitment to making auditioning and acting work a priority over the other things you have going on in your life. It's a commitment to making your communications quickly. We talked earlier about the time frame on acting work, and it's so often is we catch the whiplash end of the slinky, where things are due in just hours, and it's crazy because we're on the end of such a long chain. So rapid communication is incredibly important. And then also commitment to improving your skills, not getting rusty. They say if you're not exercising your skill, you're losing it. It's exactly the same as fitness in that way. If you're not building muscle, you're losing muscle. If you're not building acting skill, you're losing your acting skill. You're getting rusty. So there's a commitment to all these different things that you have to hold as a priority. And the problem is that acting, especially the agent side of acting, is really jerky. It's very, very start, stop, wait, start, stop, wait. Don't hear anything for weeks on end. And then all of a sudden, bang, 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 like rapid fire stuff. And so a lot of people, it's very, very easy, especially I've always said like high school is the hardest time to stay in the acting world because everything you're doing in your outside life wants your full attention. If you're in sports, they want your full attention. Your school, your teachers, your tests, they want your full attention. And school and sports work hand in hand, right? If you're in any outside thing like dance or organization like that, they want everything you have to give and all of your money outside of that world. And then you get to this weird acting thing with an agent, like high school, sophomore, you're 16 and you have an agent that you don't hear from for weeks on end. And then you're like, well, I'm not hearing from my agent, so I'll get involved in this other stuff. And then all of a sudden on Friday, it's like, hey, you've got an audition for this huge thing. It shoots next Thursday. And they're, oh, well, I've got a volleyball game on Thursday and I've got practice for this and I've got all these things going on, because you get sucked into them.
Yeah.
It's okay to do all those other things in your life. It's okay to have hobbies and like trips. And, everybody we have is day jobs and families. Nobody just sits at home waiting for acting work to come in. But the successful people they schedule their lives in a way that when the acting job comes in, it can be notched up as a priority above everything else. That they go, you know what? Our family was planning on taking a vacation. If we book this job, we'll bump the vacation off because it's a priority. If we were planning on doing a certain thing, we will move those plans if we book the job. And it's always an if. You never know if you're going to book the job, and you don't have to cancel your plans until you actually book the job. But you always have to be willing to keep it as the top priority. We will get the audition done. We will communicate immediately as soon as we get the auditions in. And those that keep that commitment level of making acting their top priority are very successful. Whether they fill their life with other things or they don't, as long as you're committed to keep it in a top priority. Like I said, all those different aspects of the actual work to do, auditions, bookings, communications, but also keeping your skills from getting rusty and self-motivating on all those things. So that would be my key to success, is being committed to making acting your top priority, but doesn't have to be your only priority. It just needs to, when it is a thing, it needs to be the number one thing. If you don't do that, you will absolutely lose every possible opportunity and find that you never book anything.